Seattle News Weekly from Fox 13.
Well, good afternoon to you, and welcome to Seattle News Weekly. And everybody in town is talking about the Seahawks, so we're going to continue to talk about the Seahawks. And we have some weird breakdowns that we're going to bring you today. I'm Bill Wixey. This is Dante Jackson. This is John Hopperstad. We are massive Seahawk fans. I mean, John and I, you know us from the morning show. Dante, you've seen on the Sidelines podcast. And Dante, you have an interesting take on this game that I haven't heard from a lot of people.
As far as what? It being a boat race?
Well,
that's what you think?
That's what he honestly
I
thinks.
honestly believe that. This
Yeah.
is our time. This is the Seahawks' time right now. And if you look at these games and the games of the playoffs, the Rams are trending downward. They're not playing as well as they were when we saw them in Week 11, when they were juggernauts and considered the best team in the NFL. The Seahawks have overtaken that title, and rightfully so. The eyeball test does not lie. The Seahawks look like the better team, and they will be the better team on Sunday. Look for a blowout from the Seahawks.
Wow. That's so hot take express here. John, what do you got?
I certainly hope he's right, but
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, and I do agree that I think the Seahawks have overtaken the Rams as the best team in the NFL. But when the Rams play the Seahawks, all bets are off.
This is Sean McVay
right?
we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean,
they can move the ball on us.
They can move the ball. You've got what sounds like the MVP of the league there, Matt Stafford,
playing as well as he ever has.
I'm very nervous about this game, incredibly nervous, because that's the one offense that I think can move the ball on the Seahawks. They went for 600 yards the last time we saw them. Yes, they lost in overtime in kind of a miracle game a bit for the Seahawks, but they can move. I mean, Puka, we don't seem to know how to stop Puka. He got over 200 yards last game.
He's always open.
And
Devontae Adams is healthy. Tyler Higbee is healthy. Their use of their tight ends is scary. They have Colby Parkinson, who we know very well. He's 6'8". He's a matchup nightmare, and now he's become a guy in Los Angeles.
And a good defense.
Their running game is solid. They're the best offense in the National Football League.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's kind of what you're up against. And so when I feel like you, John, when I start getting nervous about it, I start doing like research, and I start looking at stats, and I get deep into
down that rabbit
numbers
hole.
and nerd. I do. I get massive nerd, mode going. So there's this Pro Football Reference website. You can check it out. Look for it yourself. It's a fascinating look at just nerd stats, crazy rating systems and stuff. Are you familiar with like wins above replacement in baseball?
Yes.
Like WAR. Okay, how they calculate that. This is kind of similar. The football rating system takes into account offensive and defensive performance compared to the rest of the league, along with strength of schedule, points for and against, wins and losses, home and away. Okay, they call it a simple rating system. It's kind of complicated, actually. But
it's not so simple.
Not really. But they rank the Seahawks as the number one defense in the league, probably not a shock, and the number 3 offense. Okay, so a very capable offense. The Seahawks offense rating 6.2, and believe it or not, this is the best Seahawk offense, according to the rating system, in Seahawks history in 50 years. This is better than our Super Bowl teams. If you remember, Russell Wilson was largely a game manager at that point in his career. It was our defense, right? And I'll get into that in just a moment. But the other part, like the 2005 team, remember what a great offense Sean Alexander was MVP and everything? Yeah. They did not rate as highly as this year's offense.
Because you can make the argument Sam Darnold is a game manager. He doesn't really throw more than 20 passes a game.
He hasn't lately. He hasn't since that Rams meltdown. And that's been a game changer for the Hawks. They run the ball much more effectively now.
Yes, and I would contend after the Week 11 4-interception performance by Sam Darnold, Mike McDonald stepped in and actually took the air out of the ball. I said it on yesterday's podcast, On the Sidelines. Check it out. He took the air out of the ball and played to the strength of this team, which is the defense. That's what happened. So those numbers are actually skewed. That is an instance where the numbers do lie. Sam Darnold was cooking at the beginning of the season. Yeah. He was like top 5 in the MVP voting. He was in that consideration. He was one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But after that 4-interception performance specifically against the Rams, Mike McDonald stepped in. Now you see him throwing less than 20 times a game. They started leaning on their run game, and that's when this team has taken off because the defense is the strength of this team.
That's why I think the key to this game could be Ken Walker. because
it's no
Charbonnet
doubt.
is
No
out,
doubt.
which is a problem. But
They're
if
gonna
Ken
lean
Walker
heavy on
runs like he did last game, I got no worries about the run
If
game.
they block the way they blocked last game, we're going to run the ball very effectively. We're going to kill the clock, and we're going to keep their offense off the field.
Which is
the
a
way
big
you
key,
beat
I
these
think.
guys. Okay, the Seahawks, according to the simple rating system, the number one defense in the league. The rating that they come up with through all those metrics I was talking about, 6.2, an overall rating of 12.2 overall. So that's offense, defense. The second best overall rating in Seahawk history. Which is interesting. Another question I've heard a lot this season, is the dark side defense, this year's defense, as good or better than LOB? Are they better than Legion of Boom? Well, you can go back in time and you can compare on this site. So LOB, if you remember, really started flexing its muscle late in 2012. Seattle lost in that divisional playoff game in Atlanta. Remember that?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so the 2012 Hawks defensive rating was 7.7 and 12.2 overall. LOB was becoming what they were becoming, right? 2013 Seahawks won Super Bowl 48, the highest rated Seahawks team of all time, which makes sense, right? Super Bowl champs. 8.9 defensive ranking, 13.0 overall. So 13.0, the highest overall rating we've ever had. 2014 Hawks lost Super Bowl 49, and they were less effective. 7.1 defensive rating, 9.5 overall, but still really good. And then you compare that to 2025 dark side defense, 6.7 defensive rating, 12.8 overall. So, yes, the Legion of Boom has the edge, right? But according to these ratings, this year's Hawks rank as the second best in franchise history, right behind that 2013 Super Bowl team.
I see no lies told there. I don't need those numbers and I don't need those sites, Bill.
They make me feel better.
Because guess what? I have the eyeballs. I go by the eyeball test, the eyeball rating system. And when you look at this defense, you can see that they are a great defense. Now, let's slow down on those LOB comparisons simply because the LOB put in work for a period of time.
Correct.
Now, when you take a snapshot year to year, yes, this defense is comparable. But the LOB was dominant for at least a good 4-year period. They led the NFL in scoring defense. So they had that in a period of time. In a snapshot, comparable. Overall, I don't think so. It's still some work to do, but this defense has potential.
Well,
definitely.
One thing I like about this defense is the push up front.
Yeah.
And that's going to be
And they don't have to stunt and blitz to get
They
it.
don't. You're right. They can just put 4 guys up there and go. And that's going to be the big key here because if you don't get in Matt Stafford's face, you know what he's going to do.
Yeah.
He's going to pick us apart all
Yes.
day long. They've got to get pressure on the quarterback.
And you talk about up front, and I was having PTSD because when I thought about LOB with all this comparison and all this talk, all I could think about was a Michael Bennett jumping off sides. And that's something you don't see this year is this defense is disciplined.
Yes.
Yeah.
That LOB, that 2013 team was the most highly penalized
all the hand
team.
checking
Yes.
and that at the line, and
Yes.
the NFL was having to make rules about, these big,
How they
strong
grabbing.
corners and where can you actually touch a guy? How hard can you touch a guy off the line?
Yes.
You're hitting him too hard off the line. That's not fair.
And if you're doing it on every play, they can't throw a flag every play.
Right.
So you kind of get
And
it
that's-
get away
and-
with
and
you
it.
that's
don't
what
hear
they-
that conversation with this group. They
No.
are very
No,
well
no,
disciplined.
not at all.
They don't get a lot of stupid penalties. They don't hurt themselves all that much. I mean, we'll get a jump off sides or something, but generally you're not going to see a lot of PI. I certainly haven't.
No, not at all. And I credit Mike McDonald with that. And with that being said, we have our coach, y'all. We have a star in Mike McDonald.
do.
And that's why
Coach
I'm
of the
so.
year you talking about?
I don't know if he's coach
Oh,
of the
yes,
year.
he
I
is.
would probably get at the Liam Cohen of Jacksonville, to be honest, but I wouldn't trade him. And I'm going to tell you right now, it speaks to Mike McDonald as far as you talk about McVay. Mike McDonald knows McVay has gotten the best of him. This is the final test right here. He was brought in to go against Shanahan and McVay specifically.
Yeah.
Shanahan, check that off. He got him.
Yeah.
All right. Now it's time to go ahead and get McVay and take their position as the top team in this division. Now,
And do it from a defensive
Right.
mindset, which
And
is
I
a
talked-
whole different way to look at it.
and I've talked about it on numerous podcasts as far as people with the perception that the Rams and the 49ers are the big bad wolves of the NFC West.
Well, I
Well,
think that is
The Rams have
changed.
been
That
there
is-
That is
consistently
changing.
No,
long.
it hasn't changed because it never was true. It's the Seahawks with 9 division titles since reorganization. Okay? The Seahawks are the big bad wolf. San Francisco only has 6 division titles to the Seahawks 9 since reorganization of the NFC West. So it is the Seahawks who's owned this division
Yes.
and who are the big bad wolf.
Yes.
And now Mike McDonald carries us back to our rightful place, and that's first place. Let's go.
Let's own our greatness. I like it. Okay, so Rams, Seahawks, where do they rank in relation in terms of these rankings that I was talking about?
Okay.
So Seahawks hold a slight edge in margin of victory, and that makes sense, right? They're the number 1 seed. They're the division champ. Rams offense, we've talked about it. They're truly elite. 8.7 rating. That's the highest rated team in the NFL this season. No big surprise. That's a better rating than the Super Bowl team they had in 2021. It's not as good of a team as the 2018 Rams team that lost in the Super Bowl, and it's not even close to as good as the Greatest Show on Turf back in the early 2000s. They won a Super Bowl with Kurt Warner and those guys. So that tells you kind of where they are in the pantheon. Rams defense above average, but they are not stellar. 3.9 rating, and that adds up to a 12.5 overall rating. So if you buy into that and you believe that defense wins championships, as they say, the Hawks do have the edge. Plus home field advantage.
I was going to say, yeah.
And
look
that's
at the
why
12s.
Vegas has us installed at 2.5 favorites.
But 2.5. I mean,
It's
anybody's
almost
game.
a gimme,
It's a
but it
toss-up.
stayed pretty close to that. The home field does matter in games like this.
Yes, I would call it a push because if you're at home, you usually get 3 points or
True.
almost 3 points. So if it's 2.5, they saying that's a push. That's going to be a close game. Now some have been calling this by the numbers DVOA, the number 1 and 2 teams from DVOA, the Rams and the Seahawks. They're calling this the greatest game matchup in almost 50 years.
Well,
you never had
about that?
these two strong teams playing, and it's sad that it has to be in the NFC Championship.
Yeah.
You would love to see this game in the Super Bowl because everybody's saying and I don't feel this way, but everybody's saying that it's a foregone conclusion that the NFC champion will go on to win the Super Bowl.
I don't buy that.
Well, anything can happen in a Super Bowl. But if you look at Vegas right now, they're saying that both the Rams and the Seahawks beat either Denver or New England in the Super Bowl. So technically, you could say this is the Super Bowl.
No, you can't say that because
I
the
mean,
ring,
if-
the
if-
ring
if-
is
the
the
two best
thing.
teams. They would just say
We
we
want
saw-
the championship.
No,
We
no.
want the whole thing.
This is the
You
two
saw a
best
sea
teams
urchin
right
pick
now.
the Seahawks to win the
I
Super
agree.
Bowl, but I don't know if I trust that sea urchin as much.
No.
Well, I
no,
like that sea
no.
urchin, man.
I'm
He's got
telling you right
points.
now, you got to go and win this championship if you want to go down in history as one of the greatest Seahawk teams. And they're just getting started, Bill.
I know.
That's what's so exciting about this
Yeah.
team. Mike McDonald won 10 games last year. The Seahawks didn't come out of anywhere. They were the first team in the 17-game schedule to miss the playoffs after winning double-digit games. They were supposed to be in the playoffs last
should have
year.
been. They should have
And
been.
that's why I didn't understand the 7.5 and the 8.5 games that Vegas said the Seahawks would win. I picked them to win this many games. I expected them to be
You
in
were
the
the
Super
only
Bowl.
one on the whole
because
staff
you
that
can
picked
see
that.
the improvement. And today we got the breaking news that John Schneider is what
Finally,
PFW
the
Executive of the year. Yeah,
executive
well
of the
deserved.
year.
And this is so long
Yes.
overdue. He has built this brilliantly, and he did it largely on the back of that Bronco trade
Right.
for Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Which is
that was
ironic.
brilliant.
But he made the right picks. You look at
Yeah.
this year's draft and last year's draft.
You can
he
stock up
knocked
picks,
it
but it
out of
doesn't
the
matter.
park.
You
gotta
gotta
make the
get
big
it.
and then bringing in Rashid Shaheed in the middle of the season, he's making all the right moves.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and some of the moves he didn't make. Let's talk about those. Tariq Woolen, who I feel like is an important part of this team on this
He is,
defense.
but
Yeah.
people were ready to cut him
Yeah.
after week 2.
And people wanted him gone. And I think the Hawks was rumored to be shopping him, Boye Mafe. So it was some of the moves he didn't make because you need that depth. And it's somebody like Tariq Woolen, a nickelback coming off the bench. I mean, this guy is electric, and he's a specimen. So I love the way he's playing. I love the way the secondary is playing. And I like the way John Schneider has constructed this team. They're built to last, Bill.
I can't wait. I am so excited for Sunday.
I can't remember a bigger game other than the Super Bowl.
Yes.
the last Super Bowl.
Biggest one in Seattle in almost a decade.
Now,
that's for sure.
what do you see happening though, Bill? I mean,
So I nerd out by going through these numbers to
Right.
make myself either confirm or deny what I'm feeling, and so I feel that the Seahawks indeed do have a slight edge, and I do believe that defense wins championships, and I believe in this defense.
But
And that's where I'm going.
I think it's going to be a tight one, though. You can't rattle that L.A. Ram team. I thought the snow and the cold and the wind would do it in Chicago. And,
Not enough.
And they were poised, and they got the job done in the end. And I don't think the crowd and the noise and the
It
potential
doesn't affect
earthquake, it's
them
not
as
going to
much
affect
as
them.
Yeah, not as much as it would. another
not
team.
when you're so familiar with each other.
That's
you're
it
not
too,
gonna
yeah.
trick. You're not gonna out scheme. You know what? You just got to do what you do better than the other team. You got to line up, and I like our chances simply because the Seahawks have been the more physical team all year long. They put the hurt on people.
Yes, they
and
did.
I
They
think
physically
they
hurt people.
Yes, and I think they will continue to do that on Sunday. It is our time.
Making
Well,
a
hurt them
statement.
and also create turnovers. I think it's going to come down to that. It's going to be
Turnovers.
whether
Hold
we're
onto the
turning
ball,
it over
force
or
a
let's make
turnover.
them turn it over.
Yes, and hopefully Sam Darnold holds on to the ball because he
Yes.
has a history of turning it over
Yeah.
against the Rams. But I think he's over the hump. I think Sam Darnold will have a good game as long as you keep him to his 20 attempts and he hands the ball off to Ken Walker.
He doesn't need to do it all himself.
Exactly.
He made some really fine throws last week. I mean, really, really nice throws.
There's not a throw he can't
the
make.
touchdown pass that Jackson
Yeah.
Smith and Jigba was a thing of beauty. He's capable of doing that.
Yes.
Do that, not to the other team.
Yeah,
and use your legs, Sam.
if you
use
remember,
your
though-
legs.
Yeah, rolling out.
it
He's
was
good
that
at
playoff game in Minnesota too. He had such a great year for Minnesota, and then it was who?
Yeah, just
the
completely
Rams.
fell down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That,
then he had that 4 interception game. I think that win here in Week 16 did a lot for his confidence
Let's
and
hope.
the team's confidence. And it'll play out on Sunday. Guys, thank you. Dante
Yeah,
Jackson,
thanks
John
for having us.
Hopperstad. Good
All
to have you.
right.
And don't forget, we have new episodes of the Seattle News Weekly podcast every Thursday. Watch them on the Fox local app, fox13seattle.com, or the Fox 13 Seattle YouTube channel. You can also listen anywhere you get your podcasts, and we will see you next week.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks! Fingers crossed.
Seattle News Weekly is available wherever you get your podcast.